Hi Sohail, so here's your video feedback for the first component of the animation and simulation module. Okay, so I've had a good look through everything, but let's have a little walk through it together. Okay, so we'll start off with your submission. Well, to begin with, not everything has been submitted that should have been submitted. The assignment brief asks for, a visual reference document or blog of some sort, which you've got. It asks for a series of Maya files, which you've got. It also asks for a screen capture recording of you demonstrating your figurative rig, a screen capture recording of you demonstrating your facial rig, a test animation of your figurative rig, so just a simple range of motion would have done, and also a test animation of the use of your facial rig for an animation, for example. So there's quite a lot of stuff missing, which means I've had to nip into the Maya files to kind of extract out what I can. So let's just have a quick look in there first. So I've started off by loading up your character, and this is how it comes in. Of course, I just turned off the other elements in there like clothing and things so we can get the bait down to the base mesh. Now, in terms of functionality, number one is this rig that you've got set up. That is the bone structure, the joint structure that you've got there, doesn't seem to be bound to the character mesh. So that means it's not completely functioning, because when you move the bones, for example, the character mesh is not following. So that's not good, because that's part of the assignment. However, what is there does seem to function okay in parts, but this, I must say, is a very incomplete submission for this element. For example, I'm guessing that this is a slider either for maybe kind of a finger clench or something, or it's your slider to be used for blending between IK and FK. Now, looking in your settings here, either in attribute or in layer box, there's no further setting in there that I can use, so it's not a blender. And when I move it, which incidentally it means I have to go over here, so that's not even been centered. At the point, nothing happens. Okay, so that's clearly not connected up to anything. So again, that's incomplete. Maybe one of these is the element which is supposed to control the IK-FK blender. They're all clickable, but none of them have got the option in there. Okay, so it's clearly not that one either. I mean, even if I went into here and found this as the group, which I'm guessing is both of this, there's no controller for those either here. So again, it's incomplete. I'll hide this away so we get a little bit more to work with. Now, as this is not bound to the skin, I may as well just hide that away, and we'll concentrate on the controls here. So if I use my rotation tool on this, I can see that is rotating one of the arm linkages, but that's not moving also the elbow and the wrist control. So clearly the hierarchy linkage between those is not functional. That does seem to alter something there, but it appears to be like a different arm construction or something. But certainly that's not moving with this, which it should. So it's kind of functional to a point, to a fashion, but it's not entirely working properly. That doesn't seem to alter the hand at all, which is the wrist control. So again, I'm kind of working my way through this and seeing what we've got. I'm guessing that is that the IK-FK controller? Could be, but again, it's difficult for me to know. I believe that's the elbow control, so I'll move it over there. This one, left arm control. Yeah, so you see you've got your inverse kinematics working. Seem to work reasonably well. Does that work also in rotating the wrist? It does, which is good. So again, the underlying mechanisms are tending to work pretty well, but one problem, of course, with this is I should not need to go in and demonstrate this to myself. Your video screen capture should have done that for me to showcase all the best bits of your rig. Okay, so that does seem to function. These are in, don't seem to be connected to do anything. It says that there is some sort of constraint going on there, but it doesn't seem to do anything that I can see. Similarly with this, like a parent constraint. So it looks like those are parented to the bone rather than the other way around. So again, I think that's incorrect. That doesn't control anything, and so on and so forth. This arm, I believe, is going to be the same as that, so we're fine with that. Oh, second. Now, it looks like we've got some sort of kinematic structure here for the leg, which we have. It's moving a little bit slow, but it is functional. There's no knee control that I can see. I'm not sure what these individual elements do. Looks like the controllers to permit some sort of rotational element there. But again, I mean, this is so incomplete, and I'm having to really work to get you some marks here, Sohail. There's some work there, but because it's so incomplete, it's difficult to see what's been done and what hasn't. So, generally, from what I can see there, there's kind of an attempt at working at this, and it's like, I don't know if it's a case that you've run out of time and had to jump forward and work with the facial rigging stuff. I don't know if that's the case, but certainly you've not finished this, so it's not going to get a massive mark, but there will be some marks of what has been done. But when you consider that the IKFK doesn't work, that in terms of being a switcher, a blender, that doesn't work. There's no finger controls. The feet, I've got some elements here, but I don't see an area where I'm supposed to control those at this side. They don't seem to function as I'm moving them here, so that doesn't work. You've got elements in here which are good, but again, they're not connected up. There's a lot missing with that one. Okay, anyway, let's move on to the facial stuff. So I will open that up actually in Maya, because I'm keen to see the file as well. So that's the head mesh. So we'll open that one up. But with this one, I'm also going to go down the route of looking at your demo, because I'm assuming that your demo is showing me the best bits. So let's work through this demo together. Okay, so to begin with, yep, you've got individual eye blinkers, which are good. There's a bit of a weird thing happening with the perimeter of the neck there. If I play this back, as your eyes blink, the neck seems to move as well. It's unusual. Yep, and then it stops. So again, it's an incomplete submission. This is only showcasing a half of your sliders, and then the thing just cuts out and repeats. Now, I believe that this is also on your blog, which I'm going to call up. I don't know if it's the same video clip, but we will see. It looks like it runs for longer, so we'll give it a little bit more of a view. Let's have a look. So again, left and right seem to be working well. Center element kind of closes the mouth, but not quite. There's a mouth open. Kind of a facial expression. And then something that kind of works the mouth. But again, it's just incomplete. I mean, if we look through what we've got there, we've got, we've got these that work well, they function well. I'm ready to pause this. Got a mouth that kind of doesn't close entirely, doesn't close completely. It kind of just leaves this slightly open element. So I mean, a bit more visual reference would have helped there, I think. The mouth open, so it's a pretty decent attempt. But if you think the shape of the mouth shouldn't be flat along the top, flat at the sides, and flat along the bottom, there should be much more curvature. The bottom should slightly meet in the middle, not quite, but then kind of curve round, not this kind of very kind of rectangular shape. That, I think, you know, anatomically speaking, that's not particularly accurate. That's not a realistic sort of face shape. So again, your visual reference material would have told you that. Now the last one here, which is the four-way controller, the idea of that was that you probably would use that for something like a mouth open, mouth left and right, because then it allowed you to have that kind of slightly two-dimensional chomp type thing. So instead of just being up and down, you can move up, down, left and right type thing. So you've used it to trigger you know, several different elements, but they're not that appropriate to the rig that you're working with, you know. Okay, so we'll stop that there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into Maya, and then we're going to see what the rig actually does. So let me work through this. So again, you're using it to do, you know, four separate things, but they're kind of four quite random things. That doesn't seem to do anything pushing up there. Pulling down, pulls the brows up. Left, closes, lifts one brow. Right, kind of pulls in the cheeks. Like so. Again, they're a bit sort of random, and I don't know why you'd have a four-way controller to do some of those things. Again, four-way controller is for something that you'd want to have, you know, an up, down, left and right sort of a movement. Mouth open, close, and left and right. Eyes, perhaps you could have a four-way controller for. That would make sense. So again, technically speaking, it functions, but I just think creatively and aesthetically, I'm not sure how well an animator is going to be able to work with this, because you know, to begin with, there's no textual information that says what each slider does, other than the sort of the left and right eyelid blinks. The rest, they're a bit sort of random sort of movements. I'm not sure how useful they would be. So again, I think it's a case of, you know, you've had a go at it, but you've really not pushed it to the level that it should be at in level 5. You should have pushed way beyond where you are now. You've not really completely done even the stuff that we looked at in the tutorials, let alone gone above and beyond those things. So again, I think that's a shame, because I think you've got it within you, Sohail, to have done that. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at your visual reference elements there. So the one thing that did strike me was that this seems to be a blog which is for visual reference purely just for the facial stuff. I don't see much, if anything, there which relates to the bodily, the full figurative stuff. You know, so really, that's only kind of half the stuff that's been asked for straight off the bat. Now, there's some useful stuff here. The fact of using moving images as much as still imagery is useful. I mean, for example, if we look at this, you can see the shape that I said of the mouth. It's much more oval shaped rather than that quite rectangular shape that you've come for. You know, some good visual references. I'm not sure how useful that is in terms of looking at facial expression. That's much more like a posed face. Yeah, something like that for the brows. Excellent. That one's useful because, you know, you get to see the eyebrow kind of pucker up slightly together, and the mouth working with the eyes and so on. So there's some useful stuff there, but I'd just like to have seen a little bit more discussion of each of these things. Much more visual reference would have been useful. And yeah, you're talking about your blend shapes and things there. I think you could have, you know, done a side by side, this shape next to some visual reference material. See how close you are, see how far off you are. Critique your own work, and then iterative development will tell you where you need to take it next. You know. And again, it's good that you've put this element in. Most people didn't include this, but I quite like the fact that you bothered to put in your shape editor, your blend shape editor. It shows the way that you've been working. And then obviously our final sequence. Okay, so all in all, you've had a go at it, but I just don't think you pushed it anywhere near far enough, Sohail. I mean, you should have gone much further in the time you've had. And I know, you know, there were some issues with some of the timing towards the end and things. And, you know, I'm taking that into account when I'm talking through this. But, you know, I think there's generally just too much missing. So what's there kind of functions technically, but kind of aesthetically speaking, it's quite a way off where it needs to be.